Hey, human, human. Here you are. Hi, human. And yeah, I want to check up on you before I can wake myself up for a little bit. But I'm really going to have to sleep this off later. Um, so I first wanted to check up on you, human. Yeah, I am protecting you. It's important and stuff. I think you need to wake up. I'm gonna sleep later. Um, my mother helped move me, it looks like. Yeah, I'm really heavy. What happened after? She didn't talk. She just helped move me into here and told you not to worry. And then she went running. How long ago was that? 20 minutes. Okay. She's probably close to finishing that creature off then. Guys, that was a hard fight. Even without you. And why did you intervene? Human. You don't need to try and be a selfless hero or something. You can let somebody else take on a problem that you can't deal with. I would know that well. I can, oh, this ties into something. I said I'd tell you the story of the scar here on my nose, right? I can do that now. Because I'm probably going to be asleep for a while after this. So I don't know how long I'll be hibernating. So I'll tell you the story now. And maybe you can learn from it. Maybe. Mother always liked telling lessons through stories. I guess she's rubbed off on me a bit. Anyway, I told you about how, those that are born like us aren't accepted, by our parents because we look different. They won't immediately attack us, but they won't accept us, right? Yeah. So, my mother found me on the second day I was alone. And even back then, we developed faster than a beast does. So I was intelligent enough to know I was abandoned instinctively, and I was lashing out a lot. Luckily, despite her being a fox, because I was a baby, she was stronger than me. And she suppressed and held me and calmed me down. I rebelled a lot back then, but she took it in stride as different forms of mischief. And she taught me how to fight, forage, and how to read, and different fun activities. She taught me everything I know, and well, the fighting techniques from a fox doesn't really translate one-to-one to a bear physique. I learned as best as I could. We were still in the same forest, though. She was worried about taking me out into the town, because there had apparently recently been a feral attack, and she wasn't wanting to move us too far away, because she knew different resources around here to quickly call upon still. So unfortunately, due to those mixture of factors, we stayed in the forest most of the time, and around when I was 5, my birthers found us. And no matter how much I think about it, I can't understand what they did. Apparently, My mother tried to explain it to me, but I don't get it. Um, Even though they abandoned us, um, and they won't see us as their child, really. Not anymore. Like they'll know that they birthed us, but not as a child. There's this distinction there. Um, and they won't want to do anything with us, or take care of us, or teach us, or help us grow up, or anything. Apparently, they still feel a sense of ownership over us. And seeing a different species teaching me was enough for both my birthers to be enraged. And for some reason, I instinctively knew by their sense who they were. And I held back when I was fighting them. And I guess my mother noticed what was going on. So she held back too, trying to be non-lethal. But it's really hard to be non-lethal against a bear when you don't have proper supplies, or even if you do. Because we can take a lot. As you can see here. And they were trying to go really hard on me along with her. And I told you the styles don't mix 1-to-1. I can compensate a lot of the style by brute force, but I was 5 back then, so I had less brute force, and I messed up. And while I was able to mostly dodge a strike, they hit me well here. And that enraged her. She started going full force, and I told her to stop. Same as you. And for a second, she was distracted, and she got hit in the leg. And then I went blind for a bit. And well, my birthers are no longer around anymore, let's say. Apparently, it's in a bear's instinct to go wild when someone they care about is threatened. Especially a female bear. I don't understand why they felt they had a claim of ownership over me when they had done nothing for me, and why they wanted to push away the only person that had taken care of me and made sure that I lived when they hadn't done a damn thing. But I'll never know now, and that's just something I need to deal with. And I don't feel bad about killing them, even though I've heard you humans feel bad when your birthers have things happen to them. I do not. Because they hurt my mother. She is still scarred, same as me. But luckily, it was also grazing. And anyway, I am happy that I grew up with my mother and that she was there and took me on despite any risks and me being a brat. That she was there for me as a figure in my life. Or I would have been like that coyote. My mother is better at explaining those things. And she's coming by soon. I can smell her. She's been getting close for a while, which means the threat's dead with. Dealt with, dead. You know, I'm tired. So, I'm going to have to sleep for a bit. I've been forcing myself awake, through the pain, focusing on that. But I really, really need sleep. Yeah, I'll hibernate this off, I guess. Talk to my mother. She's like really good, and she should be able to speak now that she dealt with whatever hurt me. See you whenever this is done. Probably gonna be knocked out for a while. I really hope I get to see you again. Please.
Is she finally sleeping? Good. She must have realized I put down the threat. Right. She said that. Good. Well, I can confirm that, well, she was correct. She dealt enough damage to the creature that it couldn't go too far. And well, even with our detour, it was easy enough to track with how much it was bleeding. Oh, I was in no danger, darling. All I had to do was take a few little pot shots here and there, and well, the beast fell. Well, wonders of utilizing machinery, along with my natural abilities, made it quite easy to take care of them, especially with how damage my daughter had already made them. Oh, you think you have the right to give me a look? Oh, you don't even realize you're doing it. You look at me with a hint of disgust in putting down that feral. You've heard stories from my daughter, I'm assuming, about how a person doesn't choose to go feral, that they are just a child that was, unfortunately, not raised by one of us. Yes, all of that is true. But here's the thing that makes it that way. It's a little condescending that you look at us like that. It is just a biological fact. It is such a normative biological fact that even you, humans, have such a thing. Oh, are you unaware? If one of you humans grows up in the wild with no other humans, and stays there for just even a few years in their early childhood, they will be unable to learn how to speak, and will, well, never correctly go back into walking normally. And that's where the human, most of us have to hunt with our hands and everything else inside the wilderness to be able to survive, lean towards us being even more aggressive, along with the fact that we inherit traits of our parents. Well, a carnivore will still be a carnivore, and even more carnivorous, untrained, than a regular, say, coyote. That's why most ferals need to be put down, especially if they come from a carnivore type. There will be a problem towards society. There's always a pity whenever a feral has to be put down, for they are but a child that never had the opportunity to grow up. I speak of you about these things for one reason. I understand why you were here more than my daughter seems to. I am older, which means I'm quite better at discerning your human sense. You are attached to my daughter, yes, and I take an interest in that. And I take additional interest in why you're attached to her. Because, if we're just talking rationally, having someone break into your house, holding themselves there, and asking to stay, most normal humans would not accept such a thing. Wouldn't you agree? So, I do a little bit of thinking about why you were doing it while I was hunting. Especially on the way back after I'd taken care of the creature. And, well, your scent tells me a story. How to put it? What has she told you of how we can see scent? That you smell nice and kind. Those are true. And if my daughter can smell that much, it explains quite a bit about why she was so safe with you. And why she wanted to protect you in such a manner. She told you that story? Yes. For her to get that type of additional strength and dealing that much damage towards the creature. The feral. I use creature for my own comfort. It's easier when we don't think of them as just children. But fine, I'll use feral for this conversation. They did a lot of damage to that feral. And, well, then to get that boost, when a coyote will, well, naturally be a little bit faster than a bear, for her to be able to catch up to such a creature before it even got to you, in a sprint of a dying creature. Well, she must have thought of you as something quite special. I've only seen her do that once, after all, in the story that apparently you were told. But if she's told you that, then she must trust you quite a bit. And perhaps you will understand. You've had similar interactions with society as she did with her birth parents, right? I can smell that on you. That loneliness, that hurt, that isolation from society, that somewhat disgust towards society even. And I think you need to try and look towards yourself. Because my daughter cares for you. And you seem to care for her if you try to put yourself in danger foolishly for her. And will not hold that action against you. It was quite idiotic, though. But when you care for someone, you can be an idiot. That is normal. What is not, however, is how exactly you look at her. You were welcoming her presence because you do want to socialize. You just don't want society. You want to cut yourself off from it entirely, and that was the plan, wasn't it? Until you saw somebody else there, somebody kind, somebody who didn't know you at all, and someone that was, yes, quite cute. Someone that wouldn't know any faults inherent with you in your own mind. Someone that wouldn't go over and say the rest of the things that society had already told you, right? And for that, I must intervene slightly. For you need to know why you like her. Is it because she's cute, her own type person, her protectiveness, or is it just due to the fact that you hate society and you found somebody you can be social with outside of it? Somebody who doesn't partake in any part of society, that anything that she does seems like magic. That isn't quite a stable foundation for any type of relationship, now would it be? Why don't I tell you a tale? Perhaps think you to rethink some things. She told you that I have a habit of teaching stories. Well, she is correct. I'm going to be teaching you some history. One that you probably haven't been taught in your own schools. We have existed for, well, quite some time. It's hard to pin down with our history for a variety of reasons. But some of us were born quite early. And some of you humans decided that since we looked human, we would either be killed or enslaved. However, we taught ourselves quite quickly, and the first parts of our society were formed after we broke ourselves from our chains. After all, we are quite stronger than you thought we were. And there are different types of hunts. Some saying eventually that we were ungodly due to our features, the demons had made us, or some other factor. Hard to go over and say that that wasn't the case. After all, magic is truly alive and well with those of us like us. Oh, did you think? Yes, Magic does in fact exist. How do you think your technology works? Yes, it's circuitry and stuff. But do you know the foundations of how somebody learned how to control electricity and stuff? Do you think it was just mere mortal science that resulted in such a thing? That there was nothing else that was done as a grand effort? Hmm. Ah, perhaps I'm messing with you. You'll have no way to know. But where was I in the story? Ah, yes. Because we couldn't try and disprove it with any historical thing, we were quite cast out by the human lands by the time of the Roman Empire deciding that it was going to change certain things. So, new societies are more made. Luckily, any animal can become one of us. So, there were quite a few of us that were able to traverse water, and we were able to build our enclaves from there. And during that time, there was many disasters that occurred towards Rome, in part because we were no longer there. For since there was nobody there, the children, these pharaohs, would be taken towards the arena, and eventually accidents would occur. Different raidings that would more occur, and barbarians would teach these children to go and attack Romans. Eventually their hands would be burnt, but they also probably taught some certain barbarian tribes, and their warriors were Morpheus. Is one of the things that helped result in the fall of Rome. However, there was an epidemic of pharaohs after that time. And, well, they needed something else to help them. Something that was equally strong. Luckily, we had been taking childs, now and then, inside the mainland, and transporting them through the water towards our own little areas, our islands. And we were enlisted to help. And, though bloody, we did succeed. And eventually, we found new pups. New people which would have become pharaohs. And we took them in. These children of the pharaohs that hadn't been outside for too long. And we were able to teach them and let them learn a society. Not just being wild beasts, but being a part of us, in our community. And whenever there was one issue that would crop up, a single pharaoh that would be locked away, we made sure that that family would pay. And eventually, through the help of our entire society, there were less pharaohs. And nowadays, there are much less pharaohs that exist. Despite the fact that many of your governments, including the local one here, will not help us in tracking and finding our brethren. It is only due to our own society that we are able to make sure that some of us do not result in just a plain murder, or to be enslaved, or to be made into some type of battle beast in some far-off little gladiatorial arena, or kept as an exotic pet. That is due to the efforts of us in our community, regardless of what the broader society does to us. I can understand your disdain for society as large, but not all social structures, not all parts of society are like that, and you should know that, dear human. However, I do not expect your understanding to change with merely one lesson. That is going to be something that you're going to have to unravel for yourself. Whether you're going to truly hate society and use that hate as a crutch to basically keep yourself away from our society. After all, my daughter, from just the little type of excerpts that she went out with, well, it seems like she doesn't quite hate society now, does it? After all, she seems like she's having a decent time learning about all these different magics. No? Even though, naturally, she doesn't need to go to society, it's still a positive experience for her. So, I ask you, are you going to try to keep yourself completely cut off from contact with society and just go over and hope that the one that you currently care about will not overreach and learn more into society? Or are you going to grow and perhaps learn that society at large does not need to be hated, even if you hate large parts of it? I will give you a chance to contact her by the time she wakes up, and you can stay in contact with her during that time after she has awoken. If you wouldn't mind, I would prefer to use this area here. It's less public, and I need less to worry about somebody deciding that they didn't quite like seeing someone like me. It's out of the way. While your human prejudices do also exist, I do not disregard them. Just that not every human is terrible. Just like not every part of society is either. But I talk too much. You will be allowed to contact her. I will get a phone ready. One of mine. Ah, yes, I engage in society quite a bit. It's how I make my money, and I have kept quite a bit of it squared away. Much as I somewhat dislike it, apparently an exotic beauty such as myself can earn quite a bit of money quite easily, without having to interact with other humans and putting myself or others in danger. Possibly, especially with the local government here. So, I have enough money squared away that I can get her food for, well, her hibernation in this cabin. And you will have a choice. By the time that she wakes up, I'll be asking you if you wish to talk to her. If you choose not to, I will just merely say that I forgot to ask your number with everything going on. She'll be angry at me, but not for too long. And we shall move on to somewhere else, probably. The second option, by the time that she wakes up, you will have months, probably, to figure out what you want to do. Whether you will cling on to her because she's an escape from society and the purity that she has. Or whether you shall love her for everything that she individually is. And you will learn more about her personality through these type of talks, if you choose to pursue it. However, that's quite some time away. But I would like you to think about it. Though, to be clear, you don't need to make a decision as of this moment. But you have choices to make. So, try your best to think about it. Perhaps even sleep on it, like my little girl. Yes. I'll leave you to think now.